machine I'm riding today is a Super Soco CUX Ducati edition. Is it a Super Soco? Is it a Ducati? This is officially licensed. Who knows? But it is an electric, a 50cc equivalent, and today I need to range test it for my review. I've got this on loan from Super Soco to do some videos and a review on. I started out at 278 miles. I've done 2 miles so far, and I've used 6% of the battery. So let's get going, and I'll start talking. As you've probably worked out if you watched my last video about hydrogen and electric, I filmed 2 videos at once. So I used most of the power while filming that video, and now this is the continuation and the range test. Okay, it's been a while. I've just recorded an entire video talking about electric versus hydrogen. But I'm now down to 34% battery on here, and I'm up to 298 miles. So I'm going to continue riding and see what range we get out of this. Now there are 3 power modes on this bike, 1, 2 and 3, which is generally like eco, normal and sport. And I've been using it in 3 this whole time. The reason why I'm doing that is because I'm riding on 40-mile-an-hour roads quite often, and this bike only does 35, so I want to be doing at least 35 as fast as I possibly can on those roads. But this isn't really for covering distance like I am here. This, I think, is more for like getting around town, getting to the shops, stuff like that. I have been using this as my little shopping cart, you might call it, that when I need to go down to the shops and buy some bits and pieces, I jump on this. Even if I'm going off the island, you know, it's a 10-mile round trip, this is ideal for it. It's fast enough most of the time. It does the distance I need it to do. It's actually quite a laugh to ride around. And unlike my petrol bikes, I don't have to warm it up or anything like that. And the next morning, it's refilled itself because I plug it in before I go to bed. Well, not before I go to bed, when I'm finished riding it. Now, I have noticed the performance has dropped quite significantly. It's not nearly as peppy, but I mean, we're up to 30 already. We've got 28% of the battery remaining. We've done, it looks like 22 miles so far. So what we're probably going to get around 30 miles, I would imagine, just flat out well, not flat out, but pretty much flat out in the highest power mode. Of course, the other thing is when you're in a city, covering miles takes a lot longer in time than it does like where I am here. I can do a couple of miles quite quickly. If I was going through the middle of town, it might take an hour. It depends where you are. But equally, this thing being so small and narrow has made it a great machine for filtering. And if you watch my video, my first ride on this called "You Didn't Know Ducati Made This Bike," yeah, it's a little clickbaity, but it's having fun. It is officially licensed Ducati. You probably didn't know it existed. But towards the end of that, you'll see me filtering through a vast amount of traffic and actually overtaking, 1,000cc bikes, all sorts of other things, while filtering, because I don't know, I just filtered past them. They just didn't seem to be moving. 301 miles, 21% battery remaining. Our maximum speed is now 30 miles an hour, because the performance you get from the bike will drop as the battery level drops to try and give you a few extra miles. Sure, that's something you don't get with petrols, and that's something people don't like, but that is a software thing that could be changed in the future. Oh, this is such a laugh, honestly. Tell you, I won't miss that in the future. The smell of diesel, the smell of a nasty running diesel right in front of you. Just, oh. I mean, I know people like the smell of 2-stroke. Does anyone like the smell of diesel? I mean, I like the smell of petrol. I hate the smell of diesel, especially when it's not being burnt very well. Difference between him and me, he rides out on the road. He'll get 6 points on his licence and a £300 fine, and his scooter confiscated. Me, nothing, because this is licensed and insured. Sure, this costs more to buy than that thing does, but when you want to include all those costs as well, plus your insurance costs once you've got the 6 points in place, 14% even, and I'm up to 303 miles. So I started at 278, so that's 25 miles, and I've got 14% of the battery remaining. So it looks like 30 might be a bit high for what I've been doing to it. I will also mention, of course, I'm 6'4" and like 15 and a half stone, something like that. So I am a little bit of an unfair rider for this very small machine. Now, the reason why I'm not doing an eked out mileage test is because you can guarantee that the maximum you're going to get out of this, I would have thought, because this is the way the electric figures tend to be, is 40. And to get that 40, you really are going to have to be in eco mode and just crawling around town, which might work for you, but I just want to work out what the worst case scenario is. Because let's face it, getting home slowly is not nearly as bad as not getting home. So we need to know what the worst case scenario is, what's the least amount of miles you're going to get out of this thing. Okay, I'm down to 10% battery at 304 miles, so I'm going to head back to my place and hopefully I'll get back on that 10%. I'm a little bit concerned I might not. And we'll reconvene in the garage once I know the final fix. I got back home on 0%. It hasn't actually fully died yet. I'm going to assume it's going to go for another 500 yards or something and then die. But we got up to 308 miles, which means we've done 78 to 308, 30 miles in the fastest position speed mode with a 6'4", 15, 16 stone guy on it, flat out the whole way, you know, just buzzing around, small roads, on the throttle, off the throttle, braking, all sorts, 30 miles. You put it into a lower setting, you're in the city, something like that, that 40 miles seems very doable. So actually quite impressed by that one. So there you go, there's the range test of the Super Soco CUX. Thank you for watching, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new here, and I'll catch you in the next one. And also thanks to Super Soco for lending me the bike.